I hope you are all doing very well. I am recovering from my surgery last week, and so I will be out this week as well for another week of recovery time. So I want to talk to you today about what to handle during class this week. So today we're just going to talk about Monday and Tuesday. Monday if you're in period 1 and 3, and Tuesday if you're in period 8. So right now I'm on Schoology, and you'll see that there's a bunch of new assignments over here. Most of them are for our new unit. The fences essay, as a reminder, is due as the start of class today, which means that so is the self-review if you didn't get that done as well. So don't forget to turn those in at the start of class, not the end of the day, since that was an extension from our original Friday due date. All right, so now if you look at our Schoology page, I have cleaned up the Schoology page just a little bit to make things easier to find for our second quarter and our new unit. The new unit, as a reminder, is the Book of Unknown Americans by Christina Henriquez. And this right here is the reading schedule for periods 1 and 3. Period 8, you have a reading schedule on your Schoology page as well. Let's take a closer look at that before I get into instructions for what to accomplish in today's class. All right, so here's our reading schedule. You'll notice that we have two central questions. How does perspective shape our understanding of events? And how do authors use literary elements and narrative techniques to engage readers and convey themes? So we'll be continuing on working with a lot of the narrative elements that we looked at during our fences unit, but we'll be doing this in a much more creative way and not just focusing on one thing. We'll be focusing on a wide variety of themes and topic in order to get ready for the culminating task, which I know some of you will be really excited about. It's not a standard essay. You're actually going to write a creative narrative by rewriting a vignette from the Book of Unknown Americans from the perspective of another character from the novel. And then you'll have to consider the literary and narrative elements within the novel to accomplish this. If you don't know what vignette is, don't stress about it right now. That should become clear as you start reading the novel, and I will have you add it as a vocab word later in the unit when I get back. All right, so you'll notice here is the audiobook. Let me point out something about the audiobook. When you open this up, you will see that the audio is broken into 9 parts or 9 different lines. Each line is about 40 to 60 minutes long, just kind of depends on what all got done on each of the lines. And so, what Miss Strovink and I are doing is we are placing the audio timestamps into the reading schedule based on the line number and the actual time of when the audio starts and when it finishes for the assigned reading. Now, reminders, it is very important that you stay on top of your daily reading assignments so you don't fall behind. I would highly recommend using the audio book. I'm personally am not a big audio person, but I listened to the audio of this novel, and it is literally, in my opinion, one of the best audiobooks I've ever listened to. It's amazing. I found myself laughing. I found myself kind of talking back at it, so it's really, really a great addition. If you don't like how it's broken out, it is available on audible.com, so you can always go to Audible and get it yourself if you have access to Audible. And then it's not broken down into the 9 different lines, but it's a great audiobook. Use it. Trust me on this. Now, honors, when you're looking at this, you'll want to make sure that you're keeping an eye out for the pink font because that is assignments that are specific to you as far as reading. In fact, the first one is coming up this Wednesday. Then you all will have a narrative note taking tool that you will get later in class today. Honors, you need to fill it out every reading assignment. Non-honors, you're going to do also every reading assignment, but honors will have two elements that they need to fill out, whereas you will only have one, although it's always recommended that you do more than the minimum in order to push yourself. All right, so this is the reading schedule set up exactly the same way as last unit. The dates, what the reading assignment is, and any other important information or due dates that I feel I want to bring up so you know where things fall. And then make sure that you're paying attention to when it says something is due. So you'll notice on the first several assignments, it doesn't have a due date, and that is because of the fact that I'm out this week. And so you'll be doing that work in class. And so the expectation is that by the end of the week, you're all done with that. And I just noticed that this is actually period 8's reading schedule. So that's cool. But then following next week, you'll start getting into the actual due dates. Due Wednesday. The reading is due Wednesday. So make sure that you're just paying attention to that. I've also placed trigger warnings. I haven't told you what kind of trigger warning they are, but it's important to note that anytime there's a trigger warning, you can skip those pages and it does not impact your ability to understand what is happening in the novel. Some of the trigger warnings might be related to relations, intimate relations between characters. This first trigger warning is a brief description of a sexual assault, so feel free to skip them. You don't need that knowledge for the overall unit. Anyways, so there's our reading schedule. So now back to Schoology. Once again, when you're in here this week, it's set up the same way as always. There's our daily folders, and inside the folders, you will find whatever the plan is, as well as the video for the instructions. So let's get to talking about today's class. So here are the plans for today's class. There are 3 steps. As a reminder, your essay is due at the start of class. Don't forget to turn that in. So the first step is to make a copy of this document right here, Dangers of a Single Story, and then to do what it asks you to do. There's a video, you need to answer the questions, and then you need to submit it to Schoology when done. Now, I'm going to go through this document at this point, and then we'll move on to step 2. All right, so let's take a look at the Dangers of a Single Story assignment. It's in slides just to make it kind of fun and different. Feel free to increase the zoom on it, and you'll make a copy of this. So you'll start off, you'll answer the question on slide 1, then you will watch this TED Talk, then you will answer these questions, and then you will submit this to Schoology. So make sure that you do these. All right. Oh, and this one is most of the questions you can do in your groups. And then the other question is an independent one. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot before we get to step 2. If the desks are still all messy, you are welcome to fix them and put them back in the order that we like, into that kind of modified U shape. So just keep that in mind. All right, so this is the Dangers of a Single Story analysis, TED Talk analysis. It's due today, so make sure that you get it done. So now let's go ahead and talk step 2. Now, if you would like, you could pause the video here and go ahead and complete step 1 and then come back to the video to go through the instructions for step 2. I'll give you about 30 seconds to decide if you're going to pause before I continue on talking. All right, great. Let's talk about step 2. So it's a similar process. You're going to make a copy of this document right here, interview analysis, watch the interview, and then answer the questions. When you're done with that, submit the assignment to the Schoology assignment for grading. So now let's take a look at that assignment. It's this one right here. It's pretty self-explanatory. you watch this interview with the author, Christina Henriquez, and then you go through and you answer the questions. So you'll notice on this side you have on the left side the questions, and on the right side is where you will type your answers. If you need more space, then you can add a duplicate page and then just type in that this is a continuation for whatever question you're adding. You can also type in shapes over here. Like, look, if I do this right now, I could put a shape off to the side over here, like so, to give me more space for whatever that answer is. Totally acceptable to do. It's up to you if you need that approach. All right, so that is a step 2 or assignment 2. This one is due on Wednesday if you need to Wednesday, but I kind of feel like you could get step 1 and step 2 completely done today, but I did make this due on Wednesday. All right, and finally, step 3. So at this point, if you wanted to pause the video and complete step 2, feel free to do that and then come back to the instructions once you are done. I know I'm going through this kind of quick. Step 3 is a little more involved, so I want to really dig into that for a few minutes. So go ahead and pause, and I'll see you back here in a few seconds. All right, great. I hope that interview analysis wasn't too bad for you. And now let's talk about step 3. So in step 3, it has a discussion packet. This discussion packet you will utilize for the entire week this week. But today you're going to complete part 1 only, and that is regarding pages 3 through 23 of the novel. So first thing you're going to do, read the novel, pages 3 through 23, then complete part 1 of the discussion packet, or complete it as you go. So let's take a look at the discussion packets, because there are some pre-reading questions. So let's go ahead and take a look. Let me expand this just a little bit. So again, you are going to complete part 1 only today regarding pages 3 through 23. So you'll notice it starts out with some pre-reading questions. So go ahead and just type into this document, since it's your document, and answer the questions. We'll be working with this image next week when I get back, so just keep that in mind. Then when you get down to question 4, that should be question 4, you're going to start delving into the actual novel. I'm just fixing. It doesn't want me to restart the numbering. Fine, I'll fix it later. So as you read, you're going to need this chart in your notes, or you can type in right here, sorry. And then you'll just keep going on. You're going to create a new vocabulary chart in your journal. This is really important. New vocabulary chart in your journal for Unit 2. All right, this is new vocabulary chart. Make sure that you do this. And then add these 3 words to the vocabulary chart. Then you will answer these questions regarding today's reading. Now, here is another important thing, and the thing I really want to talk about. This is the narrative note-taking tool. This is mentioned on the reading schedule as something that you have to do every reading assignment. So let's take a quick look at that before I wrap up the instructions for today. So this is what it looks like. You'll notice it's similar to the evidence tracker that you had for fences, but it's a little bit different. It doesn't involve context or full interpretation, because you're not going to be writing an essay. So you're just tracking how the author is using literary or narrative elements, and then explaining how this element or technique shapes your personal understanding of the text. What is it telling you about what's happening? So here's how you fill it out. The first thing you're going to do is put the page number for where your evidence comes from. Then the textual detail is the actual quote. So put a quote in here from the text. Then the next column, the type of detail, is what kind of detail it is, whether it's literary or narrative technique. And up here is a wide variety to choose from and use the code. So, like right here, CO conflict. That's what I have listed here. It's a conflict. And then over here, I've explained like what's the deal with this. How does this shape the reader's understanding of the text? So, by saying Rafael Toro's internal conflict reflects the struggle many immigrants have with missing home, balanced with a desire of acceptance of being an American. So that's really all you're doing. You're just explaining out. And I do want you to really think about interpreting it. Yes, I've only done one sentence here, but you could do more and really dig in and explain how this impacts your understanding of the text and how it impacts your understanding of the characters. Now, as a reminder, as you're filling this out for your daily readings, if you are in honors, you have to do 2 per daily reading. And then if you're in non honors, you need to do a minimum of 1 entry per daily reading. But you're always able to do more than that. This is not due until November 6th, I think. The first one will be due, and that's for the first 140 pages or so of the novel. So just keep that in mind, that it is something you're gonna keep working with every single day. And if you need to add rows, you can. I don't have this set up with a specific number of rows based on how many pieces of evidence you need to find, but just remember you can add as many rows as you need. So that is the narrative note-taking tool is what it is called. That's what I will be referring to it as. And that is another major thing on your discussion. So that is the discussion packet. See right there, part 2. So once you hit the second part or the third part, make sure you stop and then you're done for the day. So again, 3 steps today: dangers of a single story, interview analysis, and read, and the discussion packet. So those are your 3 steps to work on today. I hope that you found this useful, and I really look forward to seeing you all very soon. Have a great day, and I will see you all later. Bye.